Hello. So we are live with our next NMAT session. People, how's everyone doing? How Diwali has been? I hope good. Okay, so NMAT last lap. Now, most of you, I guess, must have had your dates by now, and so I hope we are all gearing up for a very important exam right after CAT. NMAT is one of the windows to a lot of avenues, and therefore I hope that all of us are gearing up for this and preparing, right? Okay, so therefore again I remember some suggestions from last time to include some questions on what numbers and functions, right? So yeah, so these are also important topics. Every topic is important. So therefore I think without further ado, let's get into it, right? Let's start. Here we go. Just to remind you that CL has its specific module of SNAC and MAT and ZAT online classes. If you're looking out for some help, here is the link. So check it out, right? If it suits you, you can go for that. Okay. Now, okay. So we are starting, right? So please try as we go along, right? Uh, let's see. For people who are with me on the session, highly recommend that you try as we are discussing. Give me the answers on the chat box. For people who are later on watching it, also recommend you to pause the video before just going through it, right? Obviously, it's a practice session, so doesn't help if you just go through it, right? Solve it on your own, then look at the discussion, right? Okay, so this is the first one. The price of a commodity rises successively by 25%, 56.25%, and 60% over 3 consecutive months. So there's a question of percentage change on a successive basis, right? Successive percentage change. By what percentage must the price now be reduced to bring it back to its original level? So we need to get back where we started from. There are two ways to do with this. Either you start with a number, let's say mostly people take 100, work on that and find the consecutive values, or use a multiplying factor approach, right? So I'm sure everybody is familiar with multiplying factor, right? That is the first thing that we discuss in percentages. Okay, so what should we do? Take 100 and start, or use the multiplying factor approach? Well, I'll do multiplying factor. Okay, so whatever is the initial price, call it P, when it increases by 25%, which is 1 by 4th, so it becomes 1 plus 1 by 4 times of the original value, which is 5 by 4. So the price first becomes into 5 by 4 times, right? And then it further increases by this percentage. Okay, so I need to find this fraction of this percentage. 56.25%, what fraction? Because multiplying factor is 1 plus the fraction of the percentage, right? 56.25 is 50% plus 6.25, both of which are very standard fractions. 50% is half, 6.25% is 1 by 16. So half plus 1 by 16 is 16, and 8 plus 1, so 9 by 16. So this is the percentage, this is the fraction of the percentage. So it gets multiplied with a factor of 1 plus 9 by 16 or 25 by 16. Perfect. Then comes 60%, which is obviously very simple, 3/5. So 1 plus 3 by 5 times, so it becomes 8 by 5 times. So the final price, if P is the original one, has become how much times? P into this, which is simplifying as 8 cancels with 16, 2 remains, 5 cancels with 5, 25 by 8. So the final prices become 25 by 8 times the original. So if the price has become 25 by 8 of the original, so this needs to be multiplied with a factor of 8 by 25 to regain and come back to the original price, right? So now the price, this new price has to be multiplied with a factor of 8 by 25, which is nothing but 0.32 in decimal terms. So the new price has, we have to take 32% of this new price to regain the original value. So if we are taking 32% of this price, it means we are decreasing it by 68%. Right? If we say that, okay, this is the price, now we are taking 32% of it. So 32% of it. So 100 minus 32, we have decreased its value by 68%. Simple. So this is the multiplying factor approach. With 100, you can also start and calculate along the way and get it done. Right? It's mathematically same, but style of doing is different, isn't it? So this is the fundamental of percentage, right? Nothing successive percentage change. I use the multiplying factor approach. Perfect. Okay, so lots of people in the session. I want some participation, right? I think this was the first one just to get started. Now let's do this. Okay, so I'll pause for a minute so that you can digest this question, take it, try it, and so I'm looking out for your responses, right, on the chat box, right? No point in rushing through. Please try, everyone. This is a practice session, remember. Let me write also over here because people are joining in. So I'm pausing that you please try this. Isha. Okay, Prabhakar. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so one person has responded. Others also you can let me know. Let me start now because one person has answered, right? Means time over. Okay. So what's the point? Five people, A, B, C, D, E, call them, right? With the first letter, have certain coins. So A gives to others. So you can see that in the ratio of form, the number for A Arun is quite small with respect to others now, right? Previously it was quite large. So it's reshuffled. The coins are being just redistributed, right? What does that mean? If you're redistributing, reallocating the same total quantity, same number of coins. So the point is the number of coins total on the total basis is not changing, right? So you see, these two ratios are fundamentally unrelated, but they are, I mean, the point is that when you see two different ratios, right? So if this is, let's say, 9x, 6x, 8x, 6x, 7x, then you cannot take the same ratio constant here. Then this is some, you have to take some other ratio constant, 2y, 5y, and so on, let's say, right? Means fundamentally, when you look at two different ratios, you have to take two different ratio constants. Now, the point is that the total of that and the total of this should be equal, right? So that's the connecting logic between these two ratios. So just add the numbers on these two ratios, right? The point is your total should be same. So you have 9, 6, 8, 6, 7, right? And that ratio redistributes and becomes 2, 5, 6, 5, 6. Okay. So what is the sum of these numbers? 9 and 6, 15, 15 and 8, 23, 23 and 6, 29, 29 and 7, 36, 36. 2 and 5, 7 and 6, 13 and 5, 18 and 6, 24. So 36 and 24 is the sum of the ratio points, but they should be actually equal, right? So we should equate them, right? So 36 and 24, we should look out for the common multiple, which is obviously 72. Very simple to understand. So if I multiply the ratio numbers in the first one with into 2, 36 into 2 is 72, and the other one with into 3, 24 into 3, 72. So I would have equated the total number of coins, which is that now I can interconnect the numbers in the two ratios, right? So therefore, doing that, right, into 2 on this, so 9, 18. So I'm just now highlighting the numbers so that they are interconnected. 6 into 2, every number into 2, 8 into 2, 6 into 2, 7 into 2. So the point is, in general, these coins could be any multiple of these numbers: 18k, 12k, 16k, 12k, 14k, right? In general, they could be a multiple of these numbers. And into 3 over here, so 2 into 3, 6, and likewise multiply every number with 3. 5 into 3, 15, 6 is 18, 5 is 15 again, 6 is 18. So you can now look at the jump. So obviously this is the drop, 18 to 16. So this is an increase of 12 to 15 is 3. 16 to 18 is increase of 2. 12 to 15 is again increase of 3. 14 to 18 is the increase of 4, the largest. So yeah, Isha. Correct. Isha gains the greatest number of coins. I'm not saying Isha gains exactly 4 coins. All these numbers could be multiplied with any common multiplying factor, right? Or the ratio constant, right? 18k, 12k, 16k, dot dot dot, 6k. So 3k, 2k, 3k, 4k. So largest is 4k. The largest gain is definitely with Isha. Perfect. Good, good, good. Okay. So I'm sure uh, you would want to see the next one now and try it. Here we go. Next one. Okay. Again, arithmetic. Arithmetic is 40-45% of the questions, right? So a major chunk. Time and work. Okay, so let me give you a minute to try. I know you can do this. Okay, Prabhakar is quite active. He has again given the answer quite quickly. Okay, Girish is also there. Different answers from the both of you. Good to see active people here with me. Okay, so let me resolve the debate over here. Somebody saying 50, somebody saying 60. Others can also share what you're getting. I go here. So in any time in work problem, when several people are there, the main objective typically is to establish the ratio of their work rates, their efficiencies, right? So from the very first statement where they are comparing the time taken, you can establish the relationship or the ratio of the work rates, because for the fixed work, see, the fundamental logic of time and work is rate into time, or rate is work done per unit time. So when work is fixed for a certain fixed work, since rate into time is fixed or constant, so whenever the product of two numbers or two quantities is constant, so they are said to be inversely proportional to each other, right? I'm sure everybody understands the fundamental logic of inverse variation, right? So if R, so rate and time are inversely proportional for a fixed work, right? So R takes 3 times as long as P to finish a certain work. So for the same work, ratio of time taken is 3 to 1. So flip it around, the ratio of rate should be 1 to 3. If R is taking thrice that time, so R's work rate is 1/3 of P. Or put it other way around, P's work rate is thrice of R. That's inverse variation. So 3:1 is the ratio of their work rates. So rate or efficiency, 3:1 is the ratio. This is ratio numbers. And also R is also taking twice as long as Q. So same, if R's time taken is twice of Q, so R's work rate is half of Q, or other way around, Q's work rate is twice of R, so 2:1. So I easily can understand 3:2:1 is the ratio of the work rates. So once this is done, we can then assign them the values of the work rate. If this is a ratio, then we can assume these numbers itself as a work rate. See, the point is, you know that in time and work question, we assume either the total work quantity or the work rate. So once you get the ratio, you can just assign them the work rates as 3:1 units respectively. Okay. So I'm just taking 3:1 as their respective work rates as such. So therefore, now since it is given P and Q together can finish the work in 10 days, so I can quantify the work. So what is the total work then? Work is rate into time. So when P and Q are working together, so P plus Q, what is so work is rate into time. So total rate into time taken will be the quantum of work. Rate is 3 plus 2, 5 units, and time taken is 10 days. So 5 into 10, 50 units is the work, the quantum of the work. Then the question is, how many days would R alone take to complete the work? This 50 units will be done by R at the rate of 1 unit per day. So yeah, he'll take 50 days. Right? Girish, clear? I think you did 3 plus 2 plus 1 by or something like that. I don't know. Right? It's 50 units. So 50 units, 1 unit per day rate of R. So obviously he'll take 50 days. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your response. Let's take the next one. Here we go. Here we go. Right. Interesting. Age problems. Let's try this. I would want everybody to try this question. Okay. Not because it's a difficult one, but only that quite an interesting one, right? You can easily do this. I know. Okay, again, Prabhakar is the first one. 36. Okay, so I think Prabhakar is saying 36. We'll just check. I'm not declaring what is the correct answer. Okay, so let's do this now. Right, time out. So a man says to his son. So the question is going in the past 4 years ago, also going in the future 4 years hence. Right. So past, present, future, all the things are involved. And there are three people involved. One is a man, and then there is his son, and yes, also there is his daughter, because your sister. So your sister means his daughter, right? Okay. So in that past, so there are three things: past and present and future. I'm still waiting for the response of other people. If you can let me know. Now, in the past, 4 years ago, so I'm just noting this is 4 years back. When your sister was born, when somebody is born, they are how much old? Everybody starts from zero, right? When your sister was born, when she was 0 years, uh, I was 4 times your age. So I was 4 times. So if you were X, I was 4X. 4 years hence. So plus 4. So from -4 to +4, this is a jump of 8 years. So everybody will grow old by 8 years. So the daughter would have become 8 years. Everybody would age by 8 years from 4 years in the past to 4 years in the future. So 0 will be 8, daughter will be 8 years, son will be x plus 8, man will be 4x plus 8. Okay. And then 4 years hence, you will be, so now the future age of son, x plus 8, will be twice your sister's age, which is 18. So the information given is x plus 8 is twice of 8. Means x is 6. Sorry, x is 8. X is 8. Right? X plus 8 is 16. X is 8. Question is, how old is the father now? The question is asking in the present. So in the present, the father will grow old by 4 years with respect to this past age. So the question is asking the value of 4x plus 4 basically. And x is 8. 8 for the 32 plus 4. Yes, Prabhakar, you were correct. You first give me the value of the man in the future, I guess, and then you corrected it back to the present. So this is the only thing. I mean, the only mistake that you could have done was, what is that reference frame? In what time frame is the question asking the age? Is it in the past, in the present, the future? Present. Okay, that's all. So you see, this exam, right? The exam specifically in math is just testing your attention for detail. That's primarily, you know, the driving force that can take you ahead, right? And make you shine in this exam, right? How much clearly you're reading every single word. How old is the father now? Okay, thank you. Others also show your active participation with the next one. Here we go. Question number 5. Let me become silent for 1 more minute. Please try. All right. भाई और भी लोग हैं सेशन में. Fifth time in a row, I'm getting the answer from Prabhakar. Others also. I'm giving some more time for others to also confirm me. Okay, so time out, huh? Time out. When I say time out, it is means the time I've given is 1.5 times of the expected time to solve, right? Okay, so so what we'll do? Everybody has read the question. So he's spending something on apples, something on mangoes, something he needs to keep in the reserve for his auto fare, right? So therefore, you have to find how many apples did he buy, right? So therefore, keep it everything in percentage terms, right? Eventually, he's going to spend a total of 100% of what he has, right? He's going to spend everything, right? So um, he has 15% for auto fare, right? Now, on mangoes, which he bought 28 of them, how much percentage of his total money did he spend on mangoes? He can buy 70 mangoes with 100% of his amount. So 28 is obviously 28 is 70 into 0.4. So it's 40%. So 40% of the total amount was spent on mangoes. 40 and 15, so 55 is done. So the remaining percentage that he can spend on apples is the remaining of 45. So 45% of the total amount is remaining. With total amount that he has, he could have bought 40 of them. So therefore, he can buy 45% of 40, these many number of apples, which is yes, 18. Right? One of the simplest ways to deal with this question. No variables, nothing, just straightforward numbers. Look at the percentage figures, get it done. Right? So, uh, right. I'm just trying to showcase you the best way. We right, no variables, right? Just work with directly with the percentage figures. All right. वेरिएबल से तो कर ही सकते थे बट राइट क्वेश्चन लीनियर इक्वेशंस का है बट मैंने उसको परसेंटेजेस में कन्वर्ट कर दिया कहने को क्वेश्चन लीनियर इक्वेशन का है मैंने ऊपर हेडलाइन लीनियर इक्वेशन लिखी हुई है सो यू माइट फील ओके आई नीड टू टेक वेरिएबल्स टेक क्रिएट इक्वेशंस आई हैव डेलिबरेटली kept the headline as linear equations so that you might be tempted to take variables and create equations and when I'm solving I'm not doing anything of the form linear equations I've converted the question to nothing but percentages. That's the beauty of it, right? So the point is your success in this exam is all about how you can convert the question to no variable required. Okay, so I know a lot of people have joined in the session by now, right? All of us are trying, right? There is no rush. We are trying the questions. I'm giving you time to try, so let's go for the next one. Here we go. Okay, so we are now to algebra. Question is in front of us, right? So I'll again be silent for 1.5 minutes. I'll give you or so, right? Please try. Okay, Prabhakar is again out with his answer, which means we can say timeout. Okay, so let's take this now. Yeah, so quite a conceptual question. You need to be very clear on your concepts for this question. A quadratic expression is given in which the coefficients are in the form of a variable k. It needs to be positive for all real values of x. Means graphically speaking, this being the xy plane, this being the x, the y axis, your we know quadratic function is a parabola in its curve. So the curve of this parabola, it needs to be completely above the x-axis. So that is taking only positive values, right? So it should be located anywhere, maybe in the first or the second quadrant, but definitely not in the third or fourth quadrant. Simply speaking, no roots. So that is the interpretation required over here. That is the meaning of the question, right? a quadratic function is positive for all real values means it does not intersect or even touch the x-axis. So it has its discriminant strictly negative, right? That's all. So just apply this condition now and then get the integer values of k for which this condition is satisfied. So discriminant is b square minus 4ac. B is minus of 3k minus 1. So minus n will go away when we'll take the square. So b square, which means 3k minus 1 the whole square, minus 4ac. Minus 4 into a is 1. C is this 2k square plus k. So this thing needs to be strictly negative. So we have a quadratic inequality once again in terms of this parameter k, right? Okay, so simplify, right? We'll get a quadratic expression in terms of k. So we will have a quadratic inequality, and from there we'll get the integer number of integer values of k. So 3k minus 1 the whole square. I'm just quickly doing this. 3k whole square, 9k square, minus 6k plus 1. That's the expansion over here. Minus 8k square minus 4k needs to be negative. 9k square minus 8k square. So k square minus 6k minus 4k. So minus 10k plus 1 needs to be negative. Whenever you have a quadratic inequality, so a quadratic function is negative between the roots and positive outside the roots. Means, let me redraw for understanding that there is this parabola which has its roots and alpha beta. So this being the quadratic function, as long as it's a upward parabola, so it is negative between the roots. Means if this is fx, right, y equals fx being a quadratic function, so fx is less than 0 between the roots. Between the roots it is negative. So fx less than 0 implies x lies between alpha to beta. That is the solution of the inequality, the quadratic inequality. That's the basic of quadratic inequality. That's exactly what we have. So we have to find its roots, and the range of k is between the roots. So what are the roots over here? The roots of this equation are, so we have to use the quadratic formula because this is not getting factorized for sure, right? So minus b, which is 10, minus of minus 10, plus minus under root of b square, which is minus 10 whole square, which is 100, minus 4ac, which is minus 4 into 1 into 1, simply 4 whole upon 2. Simplify this. So this is root 96, right? So 2 can be factored out and the 2 will cancel with the denominator, right? Root 96, so 96 is 4 into 24. So 4 will come out as 2 from the square root. So that 2 I'm directly cancelling and I'm getting 5 plus minus root 24. Simple. So the roots are 5 minus root 24 and 5 plus root 24. So my value of k mathematically is in this range. But k needs to be an integer. For how many integer values of k, right? So the lower root is 5 minus root 24. The upper root is 5 plus root 24. We have to calculate this approximately so that we can get the integer values, the range of that. Root 24 is obviously very close and slightly less than 5, right? Root 25 is 5, root 24 is something around 4.9 ish, right? So this is approximately how much? 5 minus 4.9. This is approximately 0.1. I'm not saying exactly, but something like that. It's 5 minus root 24, almost like 5 minus 4.9, approximately. And on the upper side, 5 plus 4.9, 9.9. So again, approximately. So therefore, what are the integer values that k will take in this range? It will start from 1, 0. It needs to be more than 0.1 approx. So it will start from 1, 2, 3, go up to what? 8 and 9 is the last one. You cannot go to 10. Yeah, so k can take these 9 integer values. Very fundamental concepts are being tested. Point number 1, when will be a quadratic function always negative? No roots, so discriminant less than 0. That condition leads to a quadratic inequality in terms of that parameter k, and then you solve that quadratic inequality, right? Perfect. All clear. You can let me know any confusion, any doubt. That is why we are having this live session. Everyone, all good to go, right? Okay, here we go. Next one. Okay, so I'll give you only 45 seconds for this. Be quick. Okay, it's a race against time. Remember, this is a practice session. Let's see how quick you can be. Quick. Okay, so Prabhakar has again obliged by really giving me the answer quickly. Thank you. Yeah, correct, Prabhakar. Correct. Volume of a cylinder we know is pi r square h. The diameter of a cylindrical pipe is increased by 60%. So if you are increasing it by 60%, you are making it 1.6 times of the original in value, or 1.6 means 8 by 5 times. So if diameter is becoming 1.6 times, the radius is also becoming 1.6 times. This is the initial volume, pi r square h. Now the values are being changed. The r is becoming 1.6 times or 8 by 5 times. So the radius has become 8 by 5 times of the original, while the length, the height, the length, one is the same thing. If you will just keep it flat, it will be called length. You'll keep it vertical, it will be called height. One is the same thing, right? Is increased by 12.5%. 12.5% is 1/8, right? So the height or the length being is becoming 1 plus 1 by 8 times or 9 by 8 times. So the height has become 9 by 8 times of the original. So the new volume becomes pi r square. So replace with the new values. It's 8 by 5 r now, pi new r the whole square into the new height, which is 9 by 8 times of the original. So now just these coefficients matter. So take them outside. 8 by 5 whole square is 64 by 25 into is 9 by 8. 8 cancels with this, and this whole thing pi r square h is your initial volume. So the new volume is this many times of the original, which is basically coming to be 72 by 25 times of the original volume. 72 by 25 in decimal form. If you divide 72 by 25, so 25 into 2 is 50, and then there is 22. 22 by 25, 1 by 25 is 0.04. So 22 by 25 is 22 into 0.04, which is 0.88. So this in decimal terms is 2.88. So if the new volume is 2.88 times of the original, it means it has increased by 188%. Multiplying factor concept, right? 2.88 times. So 1 plus 1.88. So the percentage growth is 188%, right? Perfect. So actually this was a question again, nothing on percentage, right? Just the only thing is pi r square is you need to know. Everybody knows that. Okay. Okay. Now serious business, set theory. Okay. So I would give you 2 minutes. Okay. Please try. Okay, so let me start over here. I know you must be trying, but so this question requires very good understanding of three set Venn diagram, right? And there is a very important relationship that is that is often that we always discuss in our classes, which is if you have three sets, right? A, B, C, X, Y, Z, whatever you want to call that, right? In this case, it is tea, coffee, milk. Hmm, okay. So the thing is, so we don't have to solve the whole Venn diagram here. We cannot find each region uniquely because the question is talking not about specific data, right? It's about talking about how many people are drinking, how many beverages. Exactly one, exactly two, all three, none, right? So this is a very important relationship. If there are three groups or sets, call them A, B, C, whatever you want to call them. So when we do A plus B plus C, if you've done a class on set theory, you should know this. A plus B plus C, if you do this, is the number of equal to the number of people who are in exactly one group, one set, which means the sum of these three regions taken together, plus two times the number of people who are belonging to exactly two of the groups, which means these three regions, and thrice of the number of people who belong to all the three groups, which is the common central region. That is a very obvious uh, you know uh, condition or relationship. So the point is, that is exactly, this question is giving you the information in a way that you can use this condition or this relationship and solve the problem. Okay, so tea, coffee and milk are there, and with respect to that, a similar data is given. First of all, the totality of everything should be 100%. We have to solve the Venn diagram primarily in percentage terms, right? And we don't have to solve all the 8 regions, but we have to solve for the 4 quantities, which is none. How many people are not drinking anything? How many people are drinking exactly one drink? How many people are drinking exactly 2 drinks? How many people are drinking all the 3 drinks? These are the 4 quantities, or the terms, the the combination of regions on the Venn diagram, basically, I can say, which we are solving for. The sum of these should be 100 in percentage terms. None plus exactly one plus exactly two plus all three should be 100, right? Now, so coupled with that and this relationship, we will be able to solve. So we are directly given 24% drink exactly two. So this is actually directly given as 24%. 38 drink exact, sorry, here, 24 drink exactly two. This was 24, right? And then this one was your 38, exactly one. So these two add up to the remaining percentage. 38 and 24 is 62, right? So therefore, another 38 remains for these two, right? Okay, so then comes this relationship. So 64 plus 78 plus 43. So I'm now using this equation is going to be equal to your exactly one, which is 38, plus twice of this 2 into 24%. So everything is in percentage terms here. I'm not writing the percentage symbol, but everything is percentage, plus thrice of all three, thrice of the percentage of people who are drinking all the 3 drinks. So 64 and 78, 142, 142 and 43. So this is 185, and this is 88, 16, 1 and 86 plus thrice of all three. So therefore, finally, so thrice of all three, this is 185 minus 86, which is 99. All three is therefore 33%. So we remember this, the sum of these two was the balance of 38%. This is coming to be 33%. So this is 5%. Finally, therefore, 5% is 175 in number, because that is the number given to us. 175 people do not consume. So I hope this is clear to everyone. Let me just pause for a second and let me confirm from everyone. Are we clear? Prabhakar, yes, that is correct by now. Everybody, just give me a thumbs up, everyone. We can repeat anything. This is clear, right? Okay. So all three is 33%. Therefore, none is 5%, and that 5% is 175 in value. So 5% is 175. So 1% is 35. So how many people consume at least two beverages? At least two means either two or all three. So 24 and 33, which is your 57%, right? So 1% is 35. So 57% is 57 into 35. 57 into 35. Right. So do that, you get 1995. That is your answer. Right. So I've taken this question with a very specific purpose. You can get a single question of set theory, right, in your Quant section, like this, right? So you need to be very clear with your some important relationships. How to solve three segment diagram problems. So this is a very important equation. If you did not know, you should know this. Perfect. Okay. Now we have still something very important in store. Now I'll take some questions on DS, right? Some questions can come, right? Some in a bunch, right, on DS, right? This is very specific for NMAT, right? Does not come in CAT. In CAT, DS has been asked in a very historical past, 20 years ago or so. Not has not been asked in a long time, right? But NMAT is still asking them. Okay, so here we go, people. Some questions on DS. I hope you have some basic understanding on how to approach DS, right? Let me quickly remind, in case somebody is looking at this for the first time, you should have already, gone through some basic fundamental concepts on this. Now, the ways we are given some statement, we have two statement, we are given a question statement at the top, and then we have two statements, and we have to respond with these from these five options, that which combination of statements is sufficient to answer the question. The way is very crystal clear to do these questions. We have to first analyze each statement independently, means uh, on their own, without combining. We don't have to solve the question. Try to understand. It's not a question where, okay, I have to solve this question, the two statements, okay, combine them and solve them. That is the biggest blunder. DS is not about solving the question. It's about analyzing which statement or statements are sufficient to answer. So if one statement is sufficient on its own merit, you don't need to combine. So therefore, the first thing is, look at each statement independently. Is it sufficient to answer the question or not? If either statement is sufficient on its own merit, then your answer is done there and then. Only in the case when both statements individually are not sufficient, then you combine and then you see whether they are sufficient or not. Prabhakar has already given the answer for the question. Okay. Uh, so, right. So let's check. A basket has 10 apples, certain number of bananas and mangoes. These three being the only fruits in it, how many total fruits does the basket have? Apples are 10 in number. Then there are some bananas and then there are some mangoes, right? So we have to find how many total fruits. So we have to find both the number of bananas as well as the number of mangoes. Sir's first statement is saying basket has 10% more bananas than the number of mangoes. So 10% more means 1.1 times. 1.1 is 11 by 10. So the simplest ratio is 11 is to 10. So therefore, in ratio form, the simplest ratio being 11 is to 10, we can say that if the number of mangoes are 10k, then the number of bananas are 11k. Has multiple cases? What do you mean, Anant? What should be the answer? Are you trying to say the answer is E? Is that what you're trying to imply? I know what you have done. Okay, let me respond. So statement 1 tells us this. Obviously not sufficient on its own basis to solve, but this is what it tells us. So keep it parked that this is what it tells us. It does not help me to find the values, but this is what we know. The ratio is 10 is to 11. Second statement, total fruits are less than 50. Obviously by alone, this is also not sufficient, going to be sufficient, obviously. But this is saying total is less than 50. So now both individually have failed. We have to combining them. The total fruits, Anand, I know what you've done. 10 plus 21k is the total number of fruits. I think you have taken 21k. 10 plus 21k is less than 50. 21k is less than 40. K can only be one. Answer is C. Prabhakar is correct. Right? Perfect. K can only be one, not two. 21 into 242 is not less than 40. Right? So good to see your participation. Thank you. Answer is C. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Now I'll wait for as much time as you need. I want. It's a very good question, very nice, logical question. I'm not saying it's a hard one. I'm saying it's a logical question. If you think carefully, you can get this. Let's see. Prabhakar has answered, but I'm still waiting a bit for everybody else. I mean, I'm not saying what Prabhakar is saying correct or not. Okay, so let's see, right? Is n a prime number? How can you know? Well, so statement 1, n plus 1 is a perfect square. So n plus 1 could be taking what kind of values? It could be taking e. Both are contradicting, as it can be only 3. You see, okay, so Anant, I think I again need to come back to see. Anant, listen to me. I know what you're saying. Listen to me, Anant. The logic of data sufficiency is the two statements that are given to you are independent informations. You are supposed to analyze them independently. So you don't have to look at them together to begin with. I made that very clear when I was laying out the ground rules in the previous question. In case the two statements are conflicting with each other, it means you cannot combine them. It means your only analysis has to come by their individual analysis. In the case when both the statements contradict each other, two things can happen. If the question can be uniquely solved from either one of the two statements, so your option either A or B is true. If they are not sufficient, either one of them, and in case when both the statements are contradicting, your answer is E. So no need to worry about whether they contradict each other or they justify each other. That is not the concern. The first concern, Anand, is either one of the two statements sufficient on its own merit? Now look at that analysis first of all. So before jumping to say answer should be, did you carefully analyze each statement on its own merit? That's my point, Anand. Statement 1 is saying n plus 1 is a perfect square. So n plus 1 could be 1, 4, 9, 16, dot, 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 dot. So n could be 1 minus 1, 0, or 4 minus 1, 3, or 9 minus 1, 8, or 16 minus 1, 15, and so on. None of these numbers so far are prime numbers. None of these numbers are prime numbers. I have taken only the first four. There will be infinitely many such numbers. Are all of those numbers not prime? Well, actually, if you do this analysis algebraically, you will get the answer. N plus 1 is n plus 1 is something like of the form k square. N plus 1 equals k square implies that n is k square minus 1. K square minus 1 is k minus 1 into k plus 1. Means n is the product of two distinct integers. So how can it ever be prime? You can see all these numbers are of that form. This is 0 into 2, this is 1 into 3, this is 2 into 4, this is 3 into 5. No such number can ever be prime. Hence, this statement is sufficient to answer the question with an emphatic no. N can never be a prime number if n plus 1 is a perfect square. So, Prabhakar, this time, finally, your answer is not correct. But 3 is prime. That is the exception. Right. So there is only one exception when it takes the value 3. Correct. So there is an exception to this. So this is due to one exception, this statement is actually not sufficient. Perfect. Perfect. Right. So yes, this statement could have been sufficient except for one exception, 3. N could be a prime number. Because of this value 3 comes in between. So yes, 1 into 3 makes it prime. So statement 1 is not sufficient, but statement 2 is very much sufficient. So Anant, statement 2 is obviously sufficient because if n raised to the power of 1 by m is a positive integer, let's say k, it means n is k power m. Okay. And m is a positive integer greater than 1. Okay. Now think about this carefully. N power 1 by m is a positive integer, m being a positive integer greater than 1. So Prabhakar, I think just like the first statement where we had one exception, if you think about this carefully, what about k being 1? What about this integer being 1? In that case also, n is not prime. Even if k is 1, n is not prime, right? My point is, this k could be any integer, whether 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if it's 1, it's 1. If it's anything else, it is some other number like 2 power something or 3 power something or 4. So all these numbers, none of them are ever going to be a prime number, right? So yeah, this statement is sufficient. So yes, answer is B. Perfect. Perfect. Bravo, bravo, bravo. I mean, very good to have a healthy discussion, right? Okay, so therefore, uh, to summarize, I think what I'm trying to put over here is that this exam is going to be a test of not only speed is obviously important, but as I said, attention to detail, right? How carefully you are looking at the problem, right? In the process of being fast or haste, fast does not means haste, right? I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say, right? In process of being fast, yeah, Anand, yeah, Anand, right? So in the process of being fast, we should not do haste. Haste means being prone to mistakes, right? So thank you so much, and all the best, everyone. Happy Diwali. I hope that this festival brings you joy, success, and a good time, right? So thank you so much. Thank you. See you next time once again. uh, make use of our app as part of your learning process, right? I'm sure you're aware that we are now also having our mobile app both on iOS and Android, right? So I like this meeting, this discussion. Looking forward to see you people once again. Thank you so much. All the best.